The personal perimeter, the mind's blueprint to setting boundaries and reclaiming your energy. Have you ever felt like a well constantly being drawn from, leaving you depleted, resentful, and utterly exhausted? In a world that constantly demands our time, energy, and emotional labor, the inability to say no is a direct path to burnout. In this episode of The Mind's Blueprint, we delve into the core psychology of overcommitment and emotional depletion, revealing the blueprint to establishing your personal perimeter, a powerful set of internal boundaries that protects your well-being and allows you to give generously without sacrificing yourself. Sarah was a project manager at a non-profit organization, a role that perfectly suited her kind heart and natural desire to help. She was the team's pillar, the one everyone went to for favors, coverage, or emotional support. Her willingness to assist was boundless, but her personal energy was not. She found herself constantly saying yes to extra shifts, late-night calls, last-minute requests, and taking on the emotional burdens of her colleagues. Her personal life had eroded to almost nothing. Her home was neglected, her hobbies abandoned, and her social time cancelled because she was perpetually too busy or too tired. This overcommitment bred a deep, corrosive resentment. She felt used, but couldn't bring herself to express it, terrified of being seen as selfish or unhelpful. This internal conflict manifested as severe burnout, chronic insomnia, persistent tension headaches, and an emotional numbness that made her question her purpose. She was giving pieces of herself away until there was almost nothing left, a well that had run completely dry. Her friend and colleague, Mark, a coach known for his relaxed demeanor and remarkable efficiency, noticed the dark circles under her eyes and the weary slump of her shoulders. He himself had once struggled with the same emotional depletion, but had successfully mastered the art of sustainable engagement. Mark found her one Friday evening at 8 p.m., still at her desk, sifting through emails, long after everyone else had left. "Sarah," he said gently, "your desire to help is your superpower, but you are not wearing your shield. You're giving from an empty cup, and that's not service, that's self-destruction." The blueprint for sustainable compassion isn't about building higher walls to keep people out. It's about defining a clear, visible perimeter that tells people where you begin and where you end. Mark explained that the compulsion to overcommit is a deep psychological habit, often rooted in the fear of rejection, the need for external validation, or the mistaken belief that our worth is tied to our utility to others. He introduced her to the concept of the personal perimeter, a set of conscious, articulated rules that define how, when, and to whom you offer your time, energy, and resources. This perimeter isn't a weapon, it's a foundation of self-respect that others learn to respect as well. He gave her a 3-step blueprint for establishing and defending this crucial boundary. If you've ever felt depleted by constant demands, hit that subscribe button to join our community and discover more blueprints for your mind. Mark's blueprint was designed to move Sarah from a posture of fear-based compliance to one of value-based contribution. Practice the value-led no technique. The first step was to decouple her decision to say no from the fear of rejection. Instead of saying no and feeling guilty, she was to start saying no and immediately state the value she was saying yes to. For example, instead of "No, I can't stay late," she would say, No, I can't stay late because I value my necessary rest tonight, which ensures I'm sharp for the meeting tomorrow. This small shift in language redirected the conversation from her perceived selfishness to her commitment to her own well-being and long-term effectiveness. Use the energy accounting technique. He instructed her to keep a simple journal where she tracked her activities and assigned an energy score to each, from a high positive score, recharge, to a high negative score, drain. She was to use this data to identify her most draining interactions and time commitments. This technique forced her to view her time and energy as a finite currency, making her conscious of the cost of every yes. Sarah began applying the blueprint, and the initial resistance came not just from others, but from her own deeply ingrained habits. Her first attempt at the value-led no felt awkward, and her heart pounded when she used it with a demanding client. The client reacted poorly, pushing back and expressing mild annoyance. This immediate friction triggered her old fear of rejection. Her inner voice screamed, "They hate you now." However, the energy accounting technique provided the necessary counterbalance. When she checked her journal, she saw that the interaction, though uncomfortable, cost her less energy than the resentment she would have felt had she simply complied. She began to view the discomfort of setting a boundary as a temporary, necessary cost for the long-term benefit of reclaimed energy. The fear of conflict was replaced by quiet confidence and profound self-respect. She realized that a polite, firm no created a brief external conflict, while a resentful yes created a long internal siege. This knowledge empowered her to master the final step of the blueprint: build a perimeter maintenance protocol. This was a conscious, three-part ritual for dealing with those who habitually ignore boundaries, the boundary pushers. A. The pause. When a request came in, she was trained to never give an immediate answer. She would say, "That sounds important. Let me check my schedule and get back to you in 5 minutes." This simple pause allowed her emotional brain to calm down and prevented her from making an impulse-based, fear-driven commitment. B. The redefinition. She was to clarify the scope of the request and offer an alternative that fit within her perimeter. For example, when her boss asked for an immediate analysis, she would redefine the scope. "I can't do the full analysis now, but I can send you the raw data tonight and give you the summary first thing tomorrow morning." She offered a valuable contribution, but on her own terms and timeline. C. The repetition. When a boundary pusher ignored her no, she was to repeat her perimeter without emotion, escalating her firmness only slightly. She realized that people train us how to treat them, and repetition was necessary to re-educate boundary pushers. The biggest test of her new perimeter maintenance protocol came from a longtime friend who habitually called her late at night to vent about every small inconvenience, calls that consistently tanked her energy score. When the friend called at 10:30 p.m., Sarah enacted the protocol. She took a pause and then calmly stated, "I value our friendship, but I need to protect my sleep schedule. I'm not available for long calls after 9 p.m. Is this urgent, or can we talk during my lunch break tomorrow?" The friend initially reacted with defensiveness, but Sarah simply repeated her boundary with empathy. "I understand, but this is a commitment I'm making to my health." The friend eventually conceded. The next day, the friend called during Sarah's lunch break, and the call was productive and less draining. A more complex challenge arose when her boss, a notorious workaholic, stopped by her desk at 4:55 p.m. on a Friday and casually assigned her a complex data crunching task that would require her to work all weekend. He said, "I need this first thing Monday morning, Sarah. I know I can count on you." This was the moment that would have previously led to a silent, resentful yes. Instead, she took a beat, the pause, and replied, "That's a priority task. Given the complexity, I won't be able to finish it this weekend. However, I can focus on the core priority sections over the weekend and deliver a solid draft by noon Monday." The redefinition. The boss, sensing her firmness, tried to push back, suggesting she just stay a few hours late. Sarah calmly met his gaze and repeated her boundary. "My perimeter requires me to be fully rested to ensure high-quality work, so I will deliver the complete, high-quality analysis by noon Monday." The repetition. The boss, surprised by her resolve and professional composure, simply nodded and walked away. Over the next few months, Sarah's life transformed. She began spending her evenings on personal hobbies. Her sleep improved dramatically. Her work quality, ironically, soared because the time she dedicated to it was focused and energetic. She was truly giving from a full cup. Her relationships became more authentic, built on honesty and mutual respect, not resentment. She learned that boundaries are not acts of selfishness, they are acts of self-respect that enable true generosity. By building her personal perimeter, Sarah had not just reclaimed her time, she had reclaimed the joy and purpose in her professional life. You are not a limitless resource. By constructing the blueprint of your personal perimeter, you transform the cycle of burnout into a life of sustainable contribution and deep well-being. Don't forget to subscribe